Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, August 31. Government has given approval for persons in quarantine to vote in the upcoming general election. The Office of the Prime Minister made the announcement in a press statement this morning. The Disaster Risk Management Order has been amended and the changes gazetted to provide the protocols for persons voting in the September 3 poll. It outlines that persons who are in quarantine but not self-isolation may leave quarantine once to vote, after which they must immediately return to quarantine. Certain safety protocols are also mandated for these and all other voters. They include wearing a mask, submitting to a temperature check before entering the polling station, washing or sanitizing of hands at all appropriate points, and maintaining social distance of 6 feet from other persons. Individuals who are required to remain in quarantine, in isolation from other persons, may also go out to vote, but only during the 1-hour period of 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on September 3. These persons must notify the Ministry of Health before leaving quarantine. In addition to the other safety protocols, they are required to travel to and from the polling station in a private vehicle in which there are no other persons except for the driver. Up to press time, there are 8 persons of interest in state quarantine, while 28,425 are quarantined at home. In the meantime, Election Day workers and members of the police and military forces went out today to cast their votes ahead of Thursday's general poll. Under the Representation of the People Act, provisions are made for these electors to vote 3 days before the rest of the population to ensure that they are available for duty on Election Day. 46,777 Special Services electors were registered with the Electoral Office of Jamaica, and voting took place between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. This group comprises 31,084 Election Day workers, 11,512 police officers, and 4,181 soldiers. The new voting protocols for persons in quarantine also applied to these groups. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is again calling on Jamaicans to be vigilant as the country recorded another major spike in COVID-19 cases Sunday night. With another 245 new cases confirmed, Jamaica has now recorded 2,357 COVID-19 infections. 1,374 of those are active cases. While recoveries remain at 890 persons, a total of 21 individuals have now died as a result of the disease. The Ministry of Health's August 30 update shows new infections in every parish, with Kingston and St. Andrew along with St. Catherine leading the way. A significant number of new COVID-19 cases were also confirmed for St. James, St. Thomas, Portland, St. Anne, Clarendon, and Manchester. As the number of new cases continue to increase, the Health Ministry is reminding persons to follow the infection prevention and control measures to guard against the spread of COVID-19. These include frequent washing of hands with soap and water, maintaining the prescribed 6 feet physical distance from others, and wearing a mask when in public. Visitors and returning residents are reminded that they must comply with quarantine orders. Meanwhile, the country's healthcare workers are being reassured that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is making every effort to ensure their safety with adequate personal protective equipment, PPEs. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie says PPEs for healthcare workers are being sourced weekly.
The Ministry of Health is making every effort to ensure that we have adequate number of personal protective equipment. We understand that you need to have these personal protective equipment. We are operating in the face of global shortages, and our procurement teams are on the job every single day trying to ensure that every week we get in supplies.
The CMO was speaking at the ministry's most recent virtual COVID Conversations press briefing. She expressed empathy with the healthcare workers who are feeling vulnerable due to the increasing number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations, including persons who test positive after turning up at hospitals for other ailments. She's urging healthcare workers to be vigilant in securing their own safety.
We are asking that persons ensure that they use the personal protective equipment that is available consistently, and that they consider that every possible patient could be COVID infected. We also have to consider the possibility that our colleagues may also be infected, and so therefore we must also be consistent in the use of the personal protective equipment when we relate to one another.
And finally, primary schools across the island will be given a total of $50 million to purchase tablets for needy students. Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Carl Samuda, says the tablets will be provided to students who are in need but are not beneficiaries of the Program of Advancement through Health and Education path. He says that given the disruptions caused by COVID-19, the provision of these additional tablets will ensure that more vulnerable students have the tools to fully participate in the blended learning approach that must now be adopted. Students at the secondary level who are not on PATH will also be supported. The Education Ministry has already procured 40,000 tablets. Another 60,000 tablets and laptops are being sourced centrally and at selected schools for students on PATH. These devices will be distributed on a phased basis beginning in September. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.